You opened your hearts for our friends and neighbors in a big way. Fire season 2012 reaches critical mass as many available resources as possible are focused on Central Washington and the Taylor Bridge fire. The people living here just want to be able to get back into their homes to start the real cleanup. Until you see it for yourself, you really can't get a grasp of the damage.
And need help with coping.
And how do they cope with that situation? Because as you mentioned, this isn't the same person that they knew, and we saw it sort of bear out today. More than $2 million worth of cocaine ready to be sold in eastern Carolina will never hit the streets.
I don't know if you can tell, but there's actually a huge gap in the trunk as well. I am dwarfed by this debris, as you can see. Thousands of people showed up to pay their respects to a sheriff's deputy killed in the line of duty. It's like a reunion of some sort.
It is a reunion, and it's great weather for a reunion.
I missed you. It's hard to imagine any room was safe in this house. This is the closet the Frasers wanted to get to for cover. It remained relatively intact, even though it moved about 10 feet from its original spot, right over here. There's new information tonight indicating the shooting at an Alzheimer's care facility in Onslow County was premeditated. I guess the poll is right. Dogs might be better listeners than husbands there.
I do respond to a treat.
We are now waiting for a news conference to begin within an hour to update all of us on the Taylor Bridge fire. That fire burning out of control again in Kittitas County. Here's where things stand right now. Hundreds near Cle Elum are waiting to see if they will have a home to go back to. Others already know they've lost everything. All of them will spend the night in a bed they're not used to. Firefighters have been at it for more than 2 days in some of the worst conditions you can imagine. Their incredible work at the Taylor Bridge fire is showing signs that it's paying off. We begin with breaking news near Selah this evening. Police are on the scene after they say an officer came under fire during what was supposed to be a routine traffic stop. Well, drug arrests are down in a big way here in Yakima. The KIMA crime tracker found they dropped by a third last year. The new pot law is a big reason. Yakima's Planning Commission holds a public hearing next week on marijuana. There's a proposal to outlaw sales and production of recreational pot within city limits. Covering Kittitas County, an Ellensburg man was arrested early this morning, suspected of rolling his car before trying to steal a pickup truck. KIMA found there are fewer scams being reported here in Yakima County. The count dropped by about 20% year to year. Changes are coming to Ellensburg's bus system next week. Central Transit is adding 5 new stops. Covering the nation, deep snow that fell in the northeast started freezing to ice today, and temperatures continue to drop. KIMA continues to follow the journey of 2 Davis High School students heading to Carnegie Hall. They were asked to sing with the National Honors Choir. Coming up on Action News, confusion over the Affordable Care Act, how it's impacting those trying to get help. Also, addicted to eating, it's a struggle a lot of people face. See how doctors are trying to get the problem under control. KIMA obtained video of last week's SWAT team shootout near Selah. The video shows Jesse Humphrey being shot to death by a few officers outside his RV. Good evening, everyone. It was last Friday we brought you the breaking news on the standoff on Rushmore Road. Now we have the video police tried to track down themselves. It arrived at our station anonymously in a small package with a handwritten note. After watching it ourselves, we knew it was our responsibility to turn it over to police. These are the final moments of Jesse Humphrey's life. He'd been in a standoff with police for more than an hour. Shots were exchanged and backup was called. Now 50 officers on the scene. It appears about 8 or 9 were closing in on him. Police threw a flash grenade into the RV. Moments later, Humphrey came out of the side door. He was wanted for stealing a cell phone and possibly a car. Humphrey ended up flat on the ground. Now watch as Humphrey's right arm seems to move forward in a throwing motion. The officers move closer. There's some verbal exchange. Now officers are feet away. Humphrey seems to flail his arms. We stop the video right before the fatal shots are fired. The video we watched shows Humphrey hit a few times. The video was dropped by a man who wouldn't give his name and only left a small package at our front desk. It had a flash drive and a short note. This is the DVR footage the police want so bad. I wanted to confirm the video was real, so I drove to the shootout location on South Rushmore Road. I spotted the house that seemed to be the likely source of the video and noticed surveillance cameras outside. Someone on the property was aware the video existed, but surprised I had it. They confirmed it was recorded there. Knowing this was police evidence, I contacted Yakima Police, the Yakima County Sheriff's Office, and Washington State Patrol. We invited officers from each department to watch the video.
There's shooting from inside.
Each agency viewed it. Captain Greg Copeland with YPD commented on what he saw.
I hadn't seen the video. I actually didn't know that the video had existed, but it is helpful to watch the video.
This portion of video is the end of what police say had been a standoff that lasted hours. They say Humphrey fired hundreds of rounds before he ended up on the ground outside his home. Then there's the final confrontation. So what about the right arm movement?
He initially threw a stick at them, which I don't know what purpose that really served.
And those last few steps before the final shots. Humphrey was flat on his stomach. Police felt their lives were at stake. Captain Copeland says he was reaching for a gun in his pants when he was shot.
Is there any chance he was trying to give himself up at that point?
I don't think so, because otherwise he would have thrown the little stick at the officers and then tried to access the pistol that he had underneath him.
Okay, so there was a pistol underneath him that was found at the scene?
There was, yes. And by the way, the rifle that he'd been using for most of the night was actually within about 3 feet of him at the same time as well.
We handed over all the video to Washington State Patrol, who is handling the investigation and will determine whether deadly force was justified. A few things I want to point out here. The coroner confirmed today Humphrey was shot between 3 and 8 times. You might also have noticed there was no sound on the recording. It came to our office that way. Finally, the discrepancy on the video regarding the time. It indicates all of this happened after 6 p.m. We know the shooting took place earlier than that. It's our belief the time wasn't reset after the switch from daylight saving to standard time and was off by an hour. KIMA reached out to the family of Jesse Humphrey today as well after we got the video. Even without watching it, they told Samina Engel they're already devastated.